After a 2-hour drive up and down the steep, hilly roads, the car stops, pulling into a community church. We've reached Katagi Village. Outside of the white-painted church, a group of roughly 30 men sit in plastic chairs, waiting. But it is not them we're here to speak to. We are led down a path. Walking between a row of small beige houses as the sun beams down on us and clothing lays sprawled on lines above. Ahead, 2 wooden benches sit under a large leafy tree as birds chirp on branches above. There, a group of women wait quietly as if they've been expecting us. Some stand, leaning on door frames. A few peek over wooden fences and others sit outside their homes, watching. It is them we want to hear from. You're listening to Nature Answers, rural stories from a changing planet. I'm Ivy Prosper. Before we get into this week's story, this is a content warning. This episode addresses sensitive topics and contains descriptions of domestic violence. It may be distressing to listeners. Please listen with care. Today, we are in a small village near Mubande, Uganda. We're here to learn about how the destruction of community forests by logging companies led to an increase in domestic violence. The women we meet tell us how the inaccessibility of resources like firewood, herbal medicine, and water led to their abuse. These same women set out to revive their once thriving forests. Their experiences motivated them to take action to prevent others from experiencing what they had. This is part 1 of a 2-episode special. In both episodes, we listen to the stories of women living in Katagi Village and learn what it takes to create change. Every morning, Annette Nasanga wakes up, washes her face, and boils water for tea on her wooden stove. After having breakfast with her husband, the two go on their separate ways. Some days, Annette can be found tending to her garden where she grows beans, maize, bananas, cassava, and potatoes. As the Secretary of Women's Affairs for Katagi Village, most days Annette is busy attending to meetings around the sub-county.
My name is Nasanga Anet Chambade. I am a woman leader in this community.
Annette counsels and supports other women in the community with issues related to finances, farming, and domestic conflicts. She remembers a time when women here faced less problems. Annette came to live in Kataji Village when she was 14 years old, a time before the community trees were cut down.
We
used to live in a forested area. We would easily get firewood and water was near. We were growing our own food. And even though we were growing food at a small scale, life was easy.
In the early 2000s, the community forests contributed to favorable climate conditions that supported human and wildlife. Consistent rainfall created fertile soil for gardening and reliable water sources. Resources like food and firewood were accessible. This all changed when logging companies came to the community offering members money in exchange for the trees. Suddenly, the once thriving, biodiverse forests were gone. This made the roles of women more difficult. Annette explains that traditionally, women here are the primary caretakers of their families. They are often in charge of preparing meals, fetching water, and gathering resources for the household. As the trees disappeared, nearby sources of water and firewood did too. This meant women had to travel long distances to gather the materials they needed to provide for their families.
Back then, you would fetch water in a distance of about half a mile. But nowadays, you have to go further, as far as 2 miles. The government has tried to construct boreholes for us, especially in towns. But what about those who are not able to access them? They still have a problem.
People in Kataji get water from boreholes or from the surface of a nearby swamp. Without consistent rain, these water sources often disappear during droughts. The lack of shade from tree coverings also makes these water sources dry up more often.
Things changed because all the trees have been destroyed.
As the trees near the community were cut down, resources became more difficult to find. Women had to walk long distances trying to find them. Annette is a mother of 5. She said she had to make long treks for water and firewood so she could cook and care for her family. The distance meant she would be away from her home for hours. This soon led to conflict. She remembers when her husband started questioning her about her whereabouts.
Omusajja yakomawo ambuuza nti baŋŋambye wagenze ku luzzi essaawa zaabadde 5 okomyewo saa 8 obadde okolayo ki? Katinga.
When the man comes to you and says, "They told me you went to the well at 11 a.m. You came back at 2 p.m. What were you doing there?" You look for all ways to explain this. First of all, he has not been around. He doesn't know what exactly happened. I went to the well. He doesn't know what I found or what happened there, or what is the truth really. This is how we started to get into disagreements. We fought a lot. This was when he brought out a machete and he told me, "If you don't tell me what has really happened, who you have been with, I'm going to cut you." I reached a point and realized this is what it has come to.
Her husband became more suspicious about where she was going when she told him she was collecting resources for their family.
Twali tuli nga waliwo pate wantu wonna kati waliwo omwana gwe yasindika ewaka.
One day, there was a party somewhere. There was a certain child who was sent to come and check whether I was at home. The child found me at home and I asked the child, "Is my husband there at the party?" The child told me he was with someone. I also became jealous. This made me get up, run very fast, and verify what I was told. When I got there, I didn't find him. People told him, "We have seen your wife here." When I got home and he had already reached there before me, he told me, "Today you are going to tell me where you are coming from." They told me that when you go to fetch firewood, you do not come back. When you go to fetch water, you do not come back. So where are you coming from now? But remember, I had gone to follow up on him. What was I supposed to say then? I eventually had to tell the truth because he beat me up. I told him that the child had told me that he had been with someone at the party. He beat me thoroughly. The machete was brought out again for me, asking me who had I gone to meet there at the party. I spent a whole month recalling the machete being pointed at me.
She says the threats and abuse continued.
Nga buli lwe bakola bwe bati ndaba ekiso kizze ne nnyonsa omwana na waliwo twali tulina omwana nga nina omwana gwe nnyonsa.
He brought out that machete again and started threatening me while I was breastfeeding our child. It's like he wanted to slaughter me from the bed. Our child got scared, cried and turned away. I asked him, "Are you going to kill me even when your child is present and watching?" I started living like a prisoner. Things were unpredictable. Today I'm beaten. Tomorrow, I didn't know what would happen.
byatuka ekiseera ne biggwawo n'abireka naye nga ntulugunyiziddwa ng'omuntu.
I hung in there. I was patient and eventually he stopped blaming me.
The abuse stopped, but she knew more things needed to change. She took action so she would no longer be financially dependent on her husband. Though she wasn't raised a farmer, she learned. Annette turned to gardening to make her own income.
I realized that I needed to work for myself.
She started growing sweet potatoes, cassava, and bananas. But her husband's family would take her crops for themselves as fast as she could grow them.
This was very hurtful because I was working with the intention of supporting myself.
With the trees still gone, the soil started to erode, making it difficult to cultivate crops. Annette was not the only one facing problems with small crop yields. In 2022, 64 households around the sub-county came together to take action to revive their community forests. Ongoing environmental degradation from the lack of trees, longer and longer walks for resources, the upsoar in domestic violence, and the continuous loss of biodiversity led the people in this community to take action. The government gave the people of Butologo sub-county 66 hectares of land and tree saplings to plant.
We came
together as a group when we were informed that we were going to plant trees. We decided this is right. Let us restore the forest as it was.
In Katagi Village, the group Cheza Balami Tewigate was formed. Annette took on the role of vice chairwoman, expanding her role as a leader in the community. Intertribal marriage and cultural integration of several tribes in Kataji makes the group diverse. They are united with a common goal: to restore the environment and improve their quality of life.
Nakato Eva, nyondi omuhinji.
I am Nyakato Eva. I am a farmer.
Iva joined Cheza Balami Tiwigate in hopes that it would better her situation. After being beaten by her husband, Iva left her marriage. She now rents a small home where she raises her 4 young children alone. She doesn't have her own garden and makes money through small weeding and digging jobs for others in the community. But the unhealed injuries Iva has from being abused make it difficult to work.
I
can't even walk very well because I have a broken thigh from being beaten with a stick. I also have many scars that got swollen and can't heal.
She says people in the group have tried to help her.
They were giving me some food to eat, clothes to wear for me and the children, but a person has limits on how long they'll help you. That help stops.
But trees don't grow overnight, and progress in Katagi Village, while it's happening, is slow.
We are now planting trees, but the trees are still young to change the situation now.
I
will be hopeful when the trees grow. Then water will be nearer and even the firewood.
Saplings used for commercial tree farming have been planted on several hectares of community land, but growth time varies based on the tree. Smaller trees used for building construction poles take 3 to 4 years to mature, whereas other larger trees like pine and eucalyptus can take anywhere between 15 to 35 years to fully grow. Firewood can be gathered by pruning and thinning all of these tree species. But it will take time before secure sources of firewood are available in the community. Annette says women are still struggling to get involved in the group. As the chairwoman of Cheza Balami Tibigate, she wants to see women given equal opportunities.
Sometimes the men don't allow their women to join in. That's one of the problems we have.
But it's an issue the women here are determined to solve. Ultimately, it's Annette's own experience of domestic violence that drives her to take action and continue supporting women in the community.
Going through that experience motivated me to stand up more for other women because what I experienced, a majority of women experienced the same. It also motivated me to go and participate in some training and bring back that knowledge to my fellow women. But these opportunities are still limited. It's not easy at all.
With the trees taking time to grow, Annette says more needs to be done to help the women of Katagi Village. Farming is just one of the actions she's taking to make change. Tune in to the next episode to find out what else she's been working on. This has been episode 1 of our 2-part series in Kataji Village. In our next episode, we'll meet 3 more women. We'll learn about how deforestation has affected their lives. We've heard about what happens when the environment is destroyed and the limits of well-intentioned initiatives. In part 2, we'll explore what it actually takes to build something better. We'll join Annette to learn how she took action to help herself and how she is now helping others. Thank you for tuning in to Nature Answers, a podcast produced by Farm Radio International. You can learn more about nature-based solutions and the people implementing them by subscribing to Nature Answers, wherever you get your podcast. You can also follow us on social media at Farm Radio, or visit us at farmradio.org/natureanswers. Tune in to the next episode of Nature Answers, where we'll look at another exciting story about rural communities using nature-based solutions to adapt to climate change. And we also want to hear from you. Open up the recording app on your phone and tell us your name and where you're listening to us from, as well as a nature-based solution that you're using in your community. Send your recording to natureanswers@farmradio.org and you may be featured in a future episode. Until next time, I'm your host, Ivy Prosper, coming to you from Accra, Ghana.
This episode was written and produced in Uganda by me, Madison Eldridge, with support from staff from Farm Radio International's office in Kampala, Uganda. Thank you, Doreen Ainem Babazi. Your support, extensive help, and guidance contacting community members and building trust made this podcast possible. I am honored to have worked with and met the resilient women living in Katagi Village. My time spent working in the community serves as a reminder of the importance of spreading awareness about domestic violence, as many cases still go unreported. I would like to thank each of the women I spoke with for trusting me to share their story. Thank you as well to the community members of Katagi Village for supporting this production. Many thanks to Ali Mubiru from Radio Simba for your guidance, knowledge, and additional recordings. Thank you to Gertrude Nalibinga and Brenda Mugwisaje Marangi for the hours spent working on translations. To my fellow volunteer, Victor Viguez Alvarez, thank you for supporting me throughout this production and experience. And a special thanks to Professor Nanaba Duncan from Carleton University for your encouragement. I joined as a part of Carleton University's Global Journalism Internship Program with the School of Journalism. Now let's meet our translators.
My name is Gertrude Nalubinga. I am reading on behalf of Annette Nasanga.
My name is Naomi Ayot Oyaro. I am voicing Nyakato Eva.
To chat about this episode or to see more of my work, you can find me on LinkedIn as Madison Eldridge.
I'm John McGill, one of the producers and the editor of this season of Nature Answers. Farm Radio International compensated community members who participated in our interviews. It is a common practice to compensate a person in this region for the time that they spent being interviewed. Our podcast would exclude many important perspectives if we could only interview those who could afford to step away from their economic activities without compensation. Nature Answers was produced by Farm Radio International, thanks to funding from the Government of Canada.